boxing skills are sublime. No doubt he's pound for pound one of the best on the planet Earth. Crawford is the real deal.
Terence Bud Crawford can't beat no Canelo Alvarez. I beg to differ. He gonna smash Canelo Alvarez, man. I'm telling y'all right now.
Honestly, like, as of right now, I think Bud to beat Canelo. It's not gonna switch. There's nothing that's gonna change what I feel.
Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman have identified what they see as a critical weakness that could work against Canelo Alvarez in a matchup with Terence Crawford. They contend that Canelo may not be as dominant as his reputation suggests. In contrast, Crawford's sharp precision and smooth movement inside the ring make him a difficult puzzle to solve. According to their analysis, this flaw could result in Canelo being outboxed and defeated in convincing fashion.
Him back in the ring with Terence Crawford? Not too soon. Maybe you take a year off and then come back and work your way to the 154, 160 division, and Terence Crawford be there and y'all want to meet again. That's cool. That's cool. But you don't need to be going back in the ring with him this December. I know that much.
Stephen A. Smith argues that Canelo Alvarez depends too much on his power punches, assuming sheer strength is enough to win. He believes this strategy won't work against Terence Crawford, who excels through skill, movement, and accuracy. Smith emphasizes that defeating Crawford requires much more than raw power, and Canelo's predictable reliance on heavy shots will ultimately fall short against Crawford's superior ring intelligence.
You got a love for boxing.
Yes, love
Who
boxing.
gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud,
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, stronger fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
always prepared.
He's always ready.
gotta
He's
give him
always
that.
prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster.
Kellerman's analysis draws sharp contrast between skill and physical strength in the potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He highlights Crawford's jab as one of the most effective tools in the sport today, allowing him to control distance and set the pace. By comparison, Canelo's jab has declined over time, forcing him to rely more on power and counterpunching. Kellerman emphasizes that Crawford's timing, accuracy, canterbury, and ring IQ could neutralize Canelo's size advantage, showing that strategy and adaptability may prove more decisive than sheer power.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring. But, early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him.
For Timothy Bradley Jr. draws a striking parallel between the doubt Muhammad Ali once faced and the skepticism now surrounding Terence Crawford. He recalls how many believed Ali had no chance against George Foreman's size and power, yet Ali triumphed through strategy, intelligence, and resilience. Bradley sees a similar narrative with Crawford, as critics argue he cannot defeat Canelo Alvarez due to the size difference. However, Bradley stresses that true greatness is defined not by physical stature, but by determination, skill, and preparation. He notes that Crawford has spent an entire year training specifically for Canelo, underscoring his commitment to overcoming the odds, just as Ali once did.
They said Ali couldn't beat George Foreman. Yep. They said that Jack Dempsey couldn't beat Jess Willard. Yeah. 6'6", Jess Willard, 250 plus pounds. Little old Jack Dempsey knocked him out. Yeah, they saying Terence Crawford can't beat no Canelo Alvarez. I beg to differ. He gonna smash Canelo Alvarez, man. I'm telling y'all right now. He gonna smash Canelo Alvarez. It's not gonna even be a fair fight. I promise you that. It's not gonna be a fair fight because the minute he get acclimated to that punching power, it's gonna be over for Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, that wide swinging left hook, them big looping right hands. Oh, he can straighten that right hand. You don't think they're gonna be ready for that? Crawford and his team are the best in the business. Yeah, best in the business. Crawford has trained for this for an entire year. 1 year for one man. Thinking about him every day when he's out there grinding, watching video, studying film. Yeah, everybody talking about the weight. Oh, the weight, he too heavy. Tell, it was weight classes for a reason and all of this crap. Man, you think greatness is just built on just being comfortable? Greatness is built on being uncomfortable. Yeah, before we even landed on the moon, it was an idea, right? It was an idea. And then they brought it to life, and we landed on the moon. I know there's some conspiracy theories out there saying that we didn't land on the moon, but you know what the hell I'm talking about. You get it? Yeah, we talk about size. Like size is everything. What about skill? What about mentality?
Boxing analyst Bernie Day firmly rejects the notion that Terence Crawford is too small for this matchup. He argues that Crawford's frame and physical presence have long been underestimated, yet his success in higher weight classes tells a different story. Day stresses that Crawford is not simply moving up recklessly, but doing so with intelligence, strategy, and a clear plan for handling bigger opponents. In his view, the true deciding factor will not be size, but the ability to think, adapt, and outmaneuver inside the ring. He adds that Crawford and his team take pride in being more strategic than Canelo's camp, and that this sharpness and preparation could ultimately swing the fight in Crawford's favor.
Crawford, you've seen him in the gym, but have you seen the best Crawford under the lights, you think?
When they say the best Crawford, I don't know. I like all Crawfords, how you do. You know, that's what makes him a dynamic champion. You know what I'm saying? The best Crawford is what it takes to win. You know what I mean? Now, some fights are more interested than others. As far as, like I say, the fight with Klimov was a kind of a slow fight. You know, and maybe the Madrimov was a slow fight. Benavidez was kind of a slow fight until he knocked him out, but he was doing a lot of great things in there. So buzz fights, they always excite. You never know what's going to happen in those fights. So the best Crawford he's always at his best.
PHX Patriot, thank you for the $2. Get the likes of BMB best in the biz. Something when Bud walked Canelo down. No way he's too small. Fire. Let's go Crawford.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people do say that. A lot of people are saying that they don't think that the walking down situation will happen because of the wrestling background, the grapplings, the tactics, the balance and stuff like that. Stuff that Bud knows how to do because of his wrestling background. What would you say?
Man, I don't know nothing about no wrestling background. I mean, he did wrestle for, but he was not no national champion wrestler. He was not no real high school wrestler where he was wrestling all his years in high school. He wrestled. The man is just a freak of nature. He's an athlete. You understand? That's what it is. So his specialty is boxing. Okay, now he's strong as an ox. That's where his shit coming from. So they're not wrestling. It's not gonna be no fucking wrestling. You feel me? He doing strength and conditioning training. He's strong as an ox, like we already know that. His hands is like baseball mitts.
Canelo Alvarez has. Approach this fight with humility and respect, openly recognizing Terence Crawford as a serious threat despite being the naturally smaller man. Canelo has pointed out that at the highest level of boxing, size becomes less decisive, since elite fighters know how to adapt and compete across divisions. His comments show that he is not overlooking Crawford, but instead preparing with full focus and discipline. Canelo makes it clear that skill and strategy will be just as important as power in this matchup. His professionalism reflects an understanding that Crawford's style demands more than relying on familiar strengths, suggesting that fans could see both men performing at their absolute best.
Me, because Terence is a smaller guy, and why do I need to fight this guy? For you, what changed? Tell me about the moment where you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll do this. This sounds like a good idea.
No, if you're thinking about it, look how big turns this fight. It's a big fight. No, that's why made me change. But I've been in his situation before, jumping weight classes, and when you're a good fighter, that doesn't matter. So I'm not gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on training very hard because Crawford is very good fighter.
Yeah, tell me about your experience with that, because now it's reversed. He's coming up in weight. What could be dangerous? What aren't we seeing that maybe you see in this fight?
No, everything. He's a good fighter. Obviously, I know that, and I need to be careful. I need to be careful in everything. So I see everything, and